This is Joe Pugh for IFLTV. We're here at Box Park, Wembley. We've just seen the press conference for Adam Azim versus Sergey Lipnets live on Sky Sports from the OVO Arena on Saturday night. I'd like to be joined by boxer promoter Ben Shalom. Ben, how are you?
Very well. How are you?
Good. You're 31.
I don't disclose my age. No. What's that got to do with anything?
Conversation we had off camera.
Okay.
You've done a lot.
I've done a lot. Yeah, I think this is I'm in my sixth. I think I'm over 60 shows.
You look 41.
I don't.
You do.
I look good, and I feel good, and I'm delighted to be back for a huge night. It's been a long time coming, getting Adam Azim back and headlining in Wembley, and 10 minutes from where he grew up. So I'm looking forward to it.
Stressful card to get over the line. We know there's late additions with Callum Simpson and Scott Forrest. Fair play to them coming on 3 weeks after Sheffield. But yeah, it's over the line. It's 48 hours away.
Yeah, it was. I can't lie. We had two big fights. Vidal Riley against Isaac Chamberlain and another big one that was due to be on the card. Both got pulled 3 weeks. And then, you've got a duty. One for Adam Azim and a huge main event. And then everyone else on the card. And Scott and Callum came through a lot easier than expected in Barnsley and in Sheffield. And I think what people don't understand is to get elite fighters to fight on 2 or 3 weeks' notice is tough. And so credit to them for taking it, because Callum Simpson's taken a dangerous defence of his Commonwealth title. I think in the context of 3 weeks, 2 weeks' notice, and Scott Forrest is going into a 50-50, 8-0 and against 8-0. Aurel Ignat trains with Martin Bowers, so it's going to be an absolute war, that one. And as you said, when that happens to the card, you got to do your best, and thankfully for them, they're on the card, and Adam Azim gets this huge night against Sergey.
How confident are you that Sergey Lipnets is the right fight at the right time for Adam Azim?
Look, you can never be overconfident because you have to take slight risks. With O'Hara Davis, it was a risk. And he came through superbly. And when you start to see what he does in the ring, in the gym, in the ring, you get very excited, because he's a phenomenal talent, and we've seen nothing yet. And it's exciting to be involved in his career, and it's exciting to see, as I say, what we see in the gym. But Sergey Lipnets is a tough operator, and everyone in boxing knows how good he is. He's tough, he's resilient, and he's a former world champion that knows his way around. And his promoter and his manager have been on to us. We've had to sign a contract that isn't just for this fight, it's about what happens if he wins. That was why they took this fight. This is their route back into world level, and it's a great fight. And obviously Adams looks phenomenal in the past few weeks in the gym. So I'm looking forward to it. It's definitely a coming of age. It's a world level fight. And for me, Adam is the future of the division.
What did you make of Dalton Smith's performance on Saturday?
Listen, it was what it was. I think you only have to look at the opponents, perhaps, that Adam's fighting, and it speaks for itself. And you got a 22-year-old here, and you've got a 28-year-old there, but both talented fighters. And I thought it was what it was. Dalton did what he needed to do. But obviously, I think Sergey Lipnets probably eats that opponent for breakfast.
Okay, you must have seen Eddie's comments after the fight involving yourself and Adam Azim. Yeah. What did you make of those?
I think Eddie is very, very good, and this is why he's such a good promoter. There's just been a Dalton Smith fight against a substandard opponent, and it's just how can we distract from the opponent that he's just fought and the level of fight that was. And Adam Azim is always the answer for Dalton Smith. I think, for me, of course, I can see why they want it. Look at the history of boxing. Whether it's since Jack Dempsey and Muhammad Ali and whatever, you always call out the bigger name. That's just boxing. But it's very rare that it happens from a 28-year-old to a 22-year-old. He's been fast-tracked, Adam, no doubt about it. He's been the fastest man to a European title, got to that level before Dalton did. He's now fighting a former world champion before Dalton has. I think it's the toughest opponent for them both. So, of course, he's going to create headlines. Of course, he's going to be a big talking point. But we get on now, Eddie, and I think, as I say, he's trying to do the best for his fighter, and maybe they're running out of ideas, which is why we saw the fight that we saw last week, and we know it's a fight that they're desperate for. The problem they've got is the longer it goes on, the less their chances get. They're desperate to catch Adam Azim early. I think they've been calling him out since he was 19 years old. The fight's going to happen, and it will be a foregone conclusion.
When will it happen?
Look, it's hard to sign for fights or agree to fights when you've got such a big fight like Saturday night, and that's the genuine truth. We see how Saturday night goes, and then we can decide what's next for him. But he's got some exciting options. He's making the most noise in the country, I believe, in that division, and we'll see what happens after Saturday.
Last thing on Dalton Smith. Coogan spoke to Eddie today at their weigh-in. I think he just wants a yes or no answer. Can the fight happen this summer? Yes or no?
Look, I was told they're giving up on it. They are just...
This isn't a yes or no answer, Ben.
Take a step back. You've got a promoter that is desperate because they don't know what to do. Wolves fight on Saturday night. Adam Azim is the A side. Adam Azim is the star. I don't really get the obsession with it. The fight's going to happen. And hopefully it's going to be on the right terms for both fighters to earn a lot of money, not on the same sort of money that he's already earning. It's not often you get those big British rivalries. Adam Azim's 22 years old. For me, he's further on now in his development. And the fight, I believe, will happen this year. But we're not going to commit and sign for a fight whilst we've already got another fight on Saturday night.
In your opinion, why is Adam Azim the A side?
Look at the noise he's creating. Look at the call-outs he's getting. Look at the fact that he's doing this at 22 years old. It's phenomenal. It's difficult because it's not about Dalton Smith and Adam. They don't say too much. But what was Dalton Smith doing at 22 years old? Different level, different league. Dalton Smith is a fantastic fighter, but what Adam Azim is doing this early on in his career has to be commended. He's a potential star. And let's see what happens. But I believe the fight happens this year. I truly believe that.
Is there any update on Ben Whittaker, Liam Cameron 2?
Should be in the next, I'd say the next 7 days, and I think it's going to be positive.
Does that headline its own card in the UK?
Yeah.
Midlands?
Yeah, that's what we want.
Before June?
That's what we want.
Good. So has everything been resolved with Queensbury?
I believe so. It was a bit of a nonsense. There's a few fights that are being made at the moment between the companies. We don't have to get on. I'm not saying that we necessarily don't, but we don't have to. The fights are being made now. Raven Chapman against Karis Artistall is a great fight for the women's card. And so the fights are being made. There's another big one being made at the moment, I think. Let's see if that gets over the line in the next few days. So all is good. And as long as the fights can be made, no one really cares.
Okay. It's been announced, the undercard for Eubank Jr. Ben. You happy with it?
Very happy. It's just an all-British card, and that was important. Eubank Ben is an all-British night. It's so big. The work going in, half the team are at Spurs Stadium today. And I tell you, the work going into this event, the size of this event, is going to be the biggest event of the year. We got Chris Eubank Jr. is going to do a demolition job. But he gets to do it in front of 1 million. I think 1 million UK pay-per-view buys, 80,000 people. The history, the story, the background to this fight is absolutely enormous. It's a pleasure to be involved. As I say, the undercard, all-British affair. Vidal Riley could be in the fight of the night against Jeff Clarke. Unfortunate what happened with Isaac, but to get him back straight into a big fight, possibly a bigger fight for the British title. It's 10 minutes from where he grew up. For me, it's a huge coming of age night for him. Chris Smith jumps right back in the deep end in a great fight against Brandon Glanson. For me, great to see Anthony Yarr back, who brings something to that light heavyweight division I think is unique. And yeah, great cop.
It's very easy to say Chris is going to do a demolition job. But what is a demolition job, in your opinion? How does this fight go?
I don't think it goes past 6 rounds.
Just another thing, when I was speaking to Eddie yesterday, he said that Chris Eubank Jr. had no problem with the rehydration clause. It's just an ego thing. Do you agree with that?
It's easy to say that. I think, look, I'm going to let the fighters talk about their weights and that because it's them agreeing. It's not the promoters. The promoter doesn't say you've got to, that would be ridiculous, outrageous. I think there was a lot of talk about it last time, wasn't there? And there was a lot of controversy, and it put a stain on the event. And that's why I've not gone too hard, because I don't want to put a stain on a huge event. Do I agree with it? No. Was it wrong? Yes. Was it introduced too late? Absolutely. This is boxing. Do we expect anything less? No. So it's a great fight. I hope it doesn't put a shadow on the fight. And for me, I know they've talked about it being mentioned way earlier, but for us it was last minute. But we're getting on. We're working well with Matchroom. Aside from that, the event's going to be a huge, huge event. But a lot will be said on that, I'm sure. But it's between the fighters, and it's a shame, for me to agree to a weight and then try and put that in at the end of a negotiation.
Is there a rematch clause?
Yes.
Both ways?
Yes.
Okay. We spoke to Fraser Clarke at the Nottingham show on Saturday in good spirits. Seems raring at the bit to go back in. Any news on when we can see Fraser?
We've got a fight made. We will see him back very soon, in about 3 months' time. And we're about to announce the next card, and Fraser Clarke will be on it.
What is the level of opponent he's going to be coming back to?
I think people will be pleasantly surprised after what happened in November. He got caught. That can happen in heavyweight boxing. You can be riding high. We saw an unbelievable fight between the two of them. Switched off for a first round, got punished, and it was brutal. And so I think with those circumstances in mind, I think people will be surprised. I'm absolutely delighted and in awe of the fact that he's come back so quickly, mentally, physically, back in the gym. And back sparring, couldn't stop himself sparring over Christmas as well. He loves the game, but he's got the bit between his teeth now because I think he's learned a very harsh lesson, and it will set him in good stead. But he's such a popular heavyweight, he's such a fan favourite. Once he comes back, fine tunes a few things, I still think he can go to the top, and people will be surprised. But it's a great fight, and I can't wait to see him back.
Who would you like to see Fraser Clarke fight by the end of the year in a big fight?
I've always liked to see the Joe Joyce fight because of the history between them. Obviously, the amateurs and this and that. And so I'd love to see the Joe Joyce fight. I'd love to see the David Adelaide fight. I'd love to see the Johnny Fisher fight. I think those are great fights this year. Hopefully, Johnny can come through in his big rematch against Dave Allen. And that's a huge fight because it's two fan favourites. And he's got some great options. Let's see him back. Let's see him put on a statement, and then we can look forward to the rest of the year.
Last thing, was there any big fights that were discussed for the Eubank Jr. Ben card that didn't quite make it?
Big fights? Not really. I think it was almost the first on the team sheet, other than the Adam Azim Montana Love fight. Yeah. Who knows what happened there, but they didn't manage to get.
What happened there then?
Who knows? We're told Montana can't get over the line. Don't know how hard it was, how hard they tried. I don't know.
Did they counter that with Dalton Adam Azim?
They didn't actually. I know Eddie's been saying that, but he didn't counter that with Dalton Smith. It would have been the most ridiculous suggestion. Again, he's very good at distracting from what's actually going on. There were opponents levelled at us, but with 2 weeks to go to our own fight, and with Ramadan round the corner that finishes about 3 or 4 weeks before the Eubank card, and with the money the same as how were you meant to negotiate a fight before this? So I think when it all changed, we thought Chris Smith against Brandon Glanton is a great fight, and Adam Azim has got a massive fight on Saturday night. But other than that, it was pretty straightforward.
I know he's signed with Matchroom now, but yours and Beefy's relationship mended. He's going to be on the card. It's not going to be frosty.
It is. No, listen, it has been mended. It has been mended. I got a lot of time for Liam Smith. Obviously, did have some big nights with him. And we signed Frankie Stringer as well, which he manages, who we've got a lot of hope for and a lot of weight behind, and hopefully he can be the next one headlining in Liverpool. So all's well that ends well. I'm actually glad to see him back after what happened with Josh Kelly. I think he gets the right fight and the right fight to get him back in the mix. And I know Aaron McKenna well as well. It's a great fight. So we'll see what beef he's got left. We'll see how good Aaron McKenna is. It's a great fight on a historic card.
Ben, just to sign off, why should people tune in to Sky Sports on Saturday night?
Look, I think you're seeing the big stars get to the end of their career. The Anthony Joshuas, the Tyson Furies. We need big stars coming through. Adam Azim is 22 years old and he's phenomenal talent. And we always look at the States, and especially in that division, this guy is a freak. And you're about to see why against Sergey Lipnets in a great fight. Hopefully a star will be born.
Ben Shalom, thank you very much.